ready for our next session. Ms. Thomas completed her Master's of Science in Occupational Therapy at Colorado State University in 2000 and wrote her thesis on office workspace ergonomics. Having 20 years of clinical experience as an occupational therapist, she developed evidence-based OT programs and directed subacute rehabilitation programs in the Denver metropolitan area. She's licensed to practice occupational therapy in Colorado, Utah, California, and Montana. After completing the Life Care Planner program at Capital University School of Law paralegal program in Columbus, Ohio, she received her Certified Life Care Planner certificate in 2015. A member of IARP since 2015, she's presented at national conferences on occupational therapy and life care planning topics. She's currently secretary of the LCP section board and a member of the Summit Planning Committee and the IARP Learn webinar committee. In addition to working at Rocky Mountain Rehab as clinical director and a life care planner on both plaintiff and defense cases, she works in private practice as a case manager for a child with a traumatic brain injury. Ms. Malloy has over 24 years of experience as an occupational therapist in the rehabilitation field, working with adult and geriatric populations. She graduated in 1996 from the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, Canada, with a Bachelor of Science degree in occupational therapy and a Master of Science in Occupational Therapy in 2021 from Mount Mary University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In December of 2018, she successfully completed the National Board Certification to become a certified case manager. In April of 2019, she graduated with highest honors from Capital University's Law School Life Care Planner Professional Certificate Program in May of 2019. She launched Malloy Life Care Planning. She brings a thorough knowledge of medical conditions and the impact of those conditions on the functional aspects of daily life to her life care planning business. These medical conditions include, but are not limited to, catastrophic injury, chronic diseases, and neurological, cardiac, pulmonary, oncology, and medically complex diagnosis. All right, ladies.
Are we turned on? Oh yeah, we are. Yeah. Stella needs help down the stairs. And that's how we OTs are. We just lend a helping hand. I'm Kirsten Thomas. This is Sarah Malloy. We're doing this presentation about assistive devices. We're going to talk about low tech and high tech solutions for people within a life care plan. And the reason we decided this was a good topic is in some life care plans, we see people have done an allowance for certain devices. And this hopefully will give you some ideas about what those devices are so that you can make that allowance a little bit more specific. And I guess I've got my little thingy do here. This is a tough time in the afternoon, like mid-afternoon. So I'm just gonna warn you guys, we have treats. So this is gonna be participatory. And we're gonna have quiz time. So get one of your little pieces of paper because we're gonna have quiz time and there is chocolate involved. And so at some point, you'll need to wake up and like participate. Okay, go for it, Sarah.
So our objectives today are to define adaptive equipment versus an assisted device. And just a spoiler alert on that, there's a lot of overlap between the definitions.
You gotta come stand in the middle. Remember, there's a camera. So yeah.
There's a lot of overlap in those definitions of adaptive equipment and assisted devices. And you'll see in medical records frequently documented by both therapies, AE or AD. We'd like you to be able to identify common categories of AD that are included and frequently overlooked in the life care plan. To differentiate the difference between the low tech versus the high tech options for those, which might both accomplish the same goal, but one would be on the lower end of technology, one might be on the higher end of technology, and subsequently lower price versus higher price. We'd also like to talk about the importance of individualizing that life care plan, similar to what Kirsten said in terms of using a general allowance, seeing more specific recommendations for different adaptive devices that might help the evaluee be more independent. And we'll touch upon the ethical considerations as it relates to the adaptive devices. So there's a couple definition slides, which are, important to know just because there's a lot of overlap between them. So this is a common OT definition, which you can see it's pretty broad, and it talks about devices, adaptive equipment, or products that are designed to enable people with disabilities to engage in occupations. So it covers a wide variety of different parts of the person's life at home, their workplace, their community. So it's pretty broad.
Oops.
So
Oh, it's not on this one.
I know, I'm going to the next one. Oh,
It's on that one.
so this is a definition that came from the ADA network, and it is, again, pretty broad, but it focuses more on the physical disabilities, so related to vision, hearing, and mobility. So it's somewhat limited in that way, this definition. And then this definition is probably most in line with the way OTs see adaptive equipment. So it's pretty general. It describes any equipment or product that increases, maintains, or improves functional abilities of individuals with disabilities. So what it all means is just that assistive technology is a giant umbrella term. And so when you see that, it basically indicates to us that an assistive device basically means adaptive equipment. So they're interchangeable. In a life care plan, the terms that are used, obviously, you are all well aware, is DME, durable medical equipment, or aids for independent living. You'll see those terms used. Sometimes they're used interchangeably. Some other life care planners might differentiate them based on the size of the equipment. And Wheaton Barron's, their definition or their description, it asks the question of what equipment or devices can they use to help themselves be more independent in their daily life.
Oh, it's my turn. So the purpose of assistive devices is obviously to help somebody do something that they couldn't do ordinarily or couldn't do because of some sort of disability. So I like this photo on this slide because he absolutely couldn't do that without a wheelchair. It's for him a very enabling device. And a lot of times I've seen people use language, not necessarily anyone in this room or life care planners in general, but when you say somebody's wheelchair bound, you're saying that they're limited because they use a wheelchair. And this guy has very few limitations because of his wheelchair. And then the third bullet says reduce the risk of injuries. I'm not sure how this ended up whether he got the ball or not, but he might have been injured or not, but it's still a cool picture. So we're looking at assistive devices as from an occupational therapist perspective, we're looking at assistive devices as being the tool or the device that is going to enable this person to do things that they couldn't ordinarily do. Oh, where's our little list? Here we go. Okay, so there's some text that's missing on here. This is a picture from the James Webb Telescope, and that is an assistive device for us. Our eyes are too weak to see out far in the universe, and that's the way occupational therapists think of assistive devices. It's something that our bodies aren't able to do with the way we're made, so we have to use a device to see things that we can't ordinarily see. That's why. So assistive devices are found everywhere. For the purpose of life care plans, they're in the bathroom, they're in the kitchen, they're in the bedroom, entry and exit, ADL tasks, communication devices, driving devices, and out in the community as part of the ADA that we all know and love. So from a low tech perspective, low tech for the purposes of this presentation really means low cost. They're easy to obtain. They are readily available. It's a grab bar. It's almost every life care plan, depending on the disability, of course, has some of these accommodations just because they make people safer in the home. Okay, is this quiz time? I don't remember. I think so. It is quiz time. Okay, this is the part where you write down. Okay, we're going to start with this one right here. That's number 1. That's number 2. That's number 3. And write down what those are called. Okay, and we've got, let's see, how many of those are there? 1, 2, 3, there are 8. Okay, and this is for Tiger's Blood Fudge that is from the Genesee Candyland that's just up the street from my house. So that's for the first winner. So go ahead and write down what all these are, and then when you have your answers, stand up and tell me what they all are. And if we have more than one winner, we've got the Fidel's hand dip chocolates from Plymouth, Massachusetts, that Sarah brought in her suitcase. Okay, come on. Clock's ticking. Who has? Okay, what's this one right here? That is not a grab bar.
It's called a VersaFrame.
Yes.
That's the technical term.
It's a VersaFrame or it's a toilet safety frame. Okay, what's this one right here? No, this is a bathroom equipment. It is, it's a rail that goes right next to the toilet. The nice thing about it is on a hinge, so it can get out of the way if you've got a small bathroom and other people using it. What's this thing? That's a grab bar. Yeah, that's a grab bar. So, okay, one word about suction cup grab bars. Anybody have an opinion about suction cup grab bars? They're terrible. Okay, what's this thing? Pardon me? No. This is for bathroom. This is the thing that you stand on, or if you're sitting on a chair, you can scrub your feet with. It's got the little bristles. Okay. Yeah. So if you have a balance issue and you can't reach down and scrub your feet, you get one of these. If you have some sort of limitation where you can't reach your feet, what are these? Does it have a name?
There's a few different brand names of that.
Yeah.
So there's not just one name, but if you Google, it's usually
a foot scrubber.
It's a suction cup. It's suction cup to the ground.
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
them.
Okay, what's this one? Long handled sponge. Yes, for hip people with hip problems. Okay, what's this? That's a grab bar. Yeah, this is the this is the clamp on tub bar. So it goes on to the edge of the tub. Okay, what's this one? Woohoo! Yeah, that's a bidet. Okay, and what's this one right here? This is the. Okay, this one also has different brand names, and regrettably, one of them is the Butt Buddy. So this is the toilet paper right here, and it's on a long handle. So this is somebody who can't twist. From experience, they work what? Marginally? Not great, not great. Okay, who got 3 of those right? Well, there were 3 grab bars, so everybody got it right. Who got 4? Who wants fudge? Give Leroy some fudge. Good God. All right, thank you. Okay, so next, these are higher cost devices. This one is the Shower Buddy, no relation to the previous buddy. But one thing I want you guys to know about this is that when you price this and you look it up for $1,800, that doesn't include the headrest. It doesn't include, you guys know all that. Okay. So if they need a headrest, put it in. What's this right here? Walk-in tub. What's your experience with those? Terrible, terrible. So the water takes too long to fill up. You have to have a special drainage system to drain the water before it gets completely cold. The person gets completely cold in there before they even get done bathing, and they take up a lot of space and they reduce the value of their home. So, not great. And I have a story about that. My grandfather actually got one of those and then got bilateral knee replacement surgeries. It took too long to drain. He is a farmer in Western Kansas, so he has no patience. And so he climbed up on the seat, on the back of the tub, then onto the toilet next to it, and jumped down onto the floor after his double knee replacement surgery, and never used it again. So it was a very expensive installation. Okay, here is a bathroom that has a lot of stuff. So it's got the roll-in shower chair, it's got the handheld shower, it's got all the grab bars, there's a toilet safety frame, over the toilet commode, I'm sorry. So all these things, and it's that, you can see it's the zero entry, it just roll right in, it's a waterproof room. So those are really, really handy for a lot of people. There's plenty of room for a caregiver to get in there and do what they need to do. This one is the sliding tub transfer bench. What's your experience with these? Good, bad? It's a love-hate, isn't it? Sometimes they slide, sometimes they don't. People who love them, love them. And then this one, I'm sure you've got a certain population of people who like to sit in the bottom of the tub, but then they get stuck and they can't get up, right? So this lowers down into the tub and it's waterproof and it's got a little remote thing. So you lower them down, they can sit in the bottom of the tub, then it raises them back up so that you can help them get out. So any questions about those? No? Okay. All right, kitchen. Is this a quiz? Oh, quiz time. All right, so what's this one? Jar opener. Okay, what's this one? Awesome. What's this one? I don't know if you can see him. He's cutting. Yeah, yeah. This guy is a double upper extremity amputee, and he's using the rocker knife and this little cutting board here. It's pretty impressive. There are videos of him on YouTube making this salad. This one, excellent. What's this one? What's this one? What's this one? Okay, who wants fudge? Chocolate. Chocolate? Oh, chocolate. Come get it. Leroy is going to be the only one who gets. Yeah, you want your water too, of course. Yeah, all right. Okay, and then high tech, this is what's really cool about what is up and coming or already happening in home modifications. So this right here is an island that raises and lowers so that you can have someone at wheelchair level be able to actually use the island and it's not at their chin, okay? These cabinets electronically lower so they can reach the plates. These drawers slide out and that person is able to reach in there and get what they need. This one has actually the cabinets and the sink raise and lower. So anyone can use this kitchen. Anyone can use it, okay? And then this right here, the dishwasher, you'll see this in a lot of modifications where the dishwasher is actually raised up on this platform so that someone at a wheelchair user height can actually get the stuff out without toppling over onto the dishwasher door as it's open. Okay, it's happened. Okay. Sarah, I think, is going to talk about this self-feeding device.
So this is a very costly device, approximately $8,000. It's called the OBI, and it is used primarily for people who cannot feed themselves. So it's basically a robot that feeds the individual. So it might be appropriate for somebody without upper extremities. It might be appropriate for somebody with tremor who can't get the food appropriately into their mouth. It might be somebody who can't rotate, who doesn't have ulnar deviation, radial deviation. There's a variety of uses that device could use. It could also potentially replace attendant care costs because it would enable somebody to be more independent.
The caveat being, of course, somebody probably has to set it up for them, but it would at least relieve that caregiver to do something else while the person's eating. Okay. All right. Are we doing quiz time again?
Sure.
Okay. Let's have some participation now. Okay. So what's this? Somebody said leg lifter. Who said leg lifter? Okay. Come get some chocolate.
For you.
Okay. What's this? The bed rail. Who said bed rail? Come get chocolate. Okay. What's this thing?
You're welcome.
This, I don't know what exactly you call this, but if you put, it's a strap that goes all the way around the mattress. For somebody who can hold on to the strap, they can actually reposition themselves in bed in the middle of night. Okay. Okay, what about this guy down here? Standing pole. Okay. This is, yeah, floor to ceiling pole. And this will help people transfer. Yeah, okay. What about this one? Trapeze, woohoo. Okay, awesome. Okay, so, sorry, those are really very accessible, very low cost. Will give people, the right people with the right diagnoses and mobility, a lot of independence, okay? These are more high cost, and the doctor this morning talked about these Clinitron beds that are really expensive and other beds. This here, what's that? It's not a Hoyer lift. This is attached to the ceiling. So it's a ceiling lift. Okay, and I don't have a Hoyer lift on here. I just figured everybody knew what those were. Okay, and then here, this is another high tech. What's going on here in this? Closet, yes. This closet bar will raise and lower. Yeah, and there are different ways to make a closet very, very accessible. Most closets you walk in, they've got a shelf. I'm short, but they've got a shelf that's way up here, and it's, yeah, anyway, things happen. Okay, so now entry and exit. Railings for the stairs, a portable ramp, or a kind of modular ramp. Those are really pretty easy and inexpensive to install. If somebody has trouble with fine motor skills, they're gonna use something with an enlarged handle if they've got a key entry, that kind of thing. So those are just examples. I'm sure you all have 100 other examples of ways for people to get in and out of the house. Higher tech and higher cost, of course. This is, what do you call these? Platform lift. What about this one? Yeah, that's a ramp. I love this one. This is true universal design because it is not, it doesn't look like this ugly thing right here, right? It blends into the environment. You can do some plantings and stuff in front of there, completely camouflage it. The person has complete and total access to their house without appearing like it's an ugly wheelchair ramp. Okay, what's that? You're not required to have a railing. Maybe they are, yeah. I think it depends. Okay, so I think Sarah's gonna take over from here, but everyone's gone into somebody's house and seen these skinny stairs and they've asked, can't I get a chair lift, right? No, okay, go for it.
So in terms of getting up and down the stairs, so there's, again, lower tech options, more medium and higher tech. Kristen just reviewed the ramps and railings. The one thing, as far as a lower tech option for opening and closing the door is called a T-pole door opener. There's our next slide has a picture of it. It's approximately $40. It's the item on the right. And it just that simple T-shaped device that lays flat against the door enables somebody, and you can place it wherever. In this situation, it's a child who's seated. It enables them to open and close the door without having to shift their weight and potentially fall, and do any type of dynamic balance activity. So they can do it in a much safer position, and it costs $40. So it enables a lot more independence, and it's also a lot safer. And then alternatively, a different device that also accomplishes the same goal in terms of opening and closing the door is called the Open Sesame, which essentially, and Open Sesames can be used in residential areas as well. It essentially turns your door into an automatic door, but the cost for that is over $2,000 plus 4 or 5 hours of an electrician for installation. So both devices, one's low cost, one's high cost, they both accomplish similar goals. They might not be used for the same type of evaluee, but that's where knowing your evaluee, knowing what they struggle with, knowing what their issues are, helps clarify and allows you to make more appropriate recommendations for the assisted devices you're putting in the plan.
Okay, so now, are you doing this one?
Or you've been so good at the quizzes. Go
Well,
ahead.
I don't know. I'm feeling like there's not a whole lot of participation going on here. Okay, who knows what this is? Can you see that? But look, awesome. Okay, who knows what this is? Woohoo. Okay, who knows what these are? Velcro, yeah. Okay, this thing is cool. Yeah, yeah. So if you need to wash somebody's hair when they're lying in bed. This thing, sockade, What about this guy? Long handled comb, And this one? That's the bra. Who got the bra thing? Come get chocolate. This thing, yeah. Okay, and then the reacher. Okay. All right, and then higher tech for ADLs. This is the temperature gauge sensor, so people don't scald themselves on hot water. This is one of those fancy electronic pill dispensers. So they're on a timer and it'll pop the pill out into the cup and it'll keep beeping until they actually take the medication. So that's another way to reduce a caregiver if you can help somebody to become more independent with their medication management. Okay, oh, this one's mine. Okay, so communication is obviously very important. The most simple method of communicating is if somebody can understand one of these picture boards. You can literally make flashcards or put pictures onto a thing and laminate it, and that is their communication board. This is a slant table for writing. For a lot, you see those a lot in IEPs for children. Using a mouth stick or a forehead stick to tap the touch keypads. Those are low tech. The iPads aren't low tech, obviously, but the method of using them is low tech in this case. And then a simple magnifying glass when people have trouble with actually seeing the words on the page. And there's not a visual processing issue. It's an acuity issue, and a magnifying glass will help. That's very low tech and also highly effective for the right people. Okay, so tomorrow there is a presentation
by Justin Tucker, who's a speech therapist, who's going to talk more in depth about the augmentative communication options. So we won't review that.
Yeah, so you can say you've seen this tomorrow. Okay.
These are some other technology options that range from like a free voice to text app that you can install on your phone to a C pen. I don't know if people are familiar with C pens, but they're a handheld device and you scroll along a line of text and it'll read it out loud to you. And those are about $300. And the higher tech option for a similar problem is a device by Orcam called the MyEye Pro, which is again a device that's like 2 to 3 inches long. It attaches onto this part of your glasses, and it can do multiple functions. One is to read, but the difference between the C pen reader, which you need the motor component to read the lines of text, with the Orcam MyEye, you just hold up your finger, it takes a picture, and then it starts reading it to you. And it can read you text, it can read bills, it can read newspaper, magazines. And in addition to reading, it also can, it'll tell you if you hold up a dollar bill, if you hold up a $10 bill, it'll tell you what denomination the money is. And it also does facial recognition. So it'll tell you who's coming at you. So those are all good devices, low tech to high tech, for people with low vision, issues with their vision, nystagmus, any type of issue in terms of reading. And then the Amazon Alexa is on there versus the Google Home. That definitely can go from controlling one part of your house, meaning like the thermostat, all the way up to your entire house. So that can really vary in terms of independence. And then the mobile arm support versus attendant care hours right after our talk. There's another OT actually, it's going to be giving a talk about all the different mobile arm supports, from pretty basic ones to more involved, very higher tech ones. But the use of a mobile arm support versus attendant care hours to enable independence with daily function is an example of a lower tech technology versus a higher tech versus attendant care.
Driving is one of the OT realms that I have not delved into. But there are OTs out there who are very, they just, how do you say, they're brave.
There's a specialty certification
Yes.
that a lot of occupational therapists have pursued
Mhm.
that enable them to be certified driving specialists. And it involves a very comprehensive evaluation of cognitive, physical, perceptual skills. And then they make recommendations of adaptations that can range from pretty simple hand controls all the way up to removing the driver's seat and enabling a space to have a wheelchair. So it can go from low tech to high tech.
So aside from having nerves of steel and getting on the road with people, they can prescribe these simple things such as everyone knows what this is, spinner knob, the hand controls. This is a wider angle if you have trouble moving your neck. This thing, left-handed, a left foot accelerator. This thing I love because if you don't want to accidentally hit the brake if you've got hand. Okay, and then another mirror there. Then high tech, of course, we're in Texas. So I had to get the truck pictures. Here's your typical little minivan, okay? But here's the truck. So this has the actual wheelchair lift where the wheelchair user can use the wheelchair in the driver's seat. They don't have to transfer out. Another way is that they have one of the swivel seats, and then they have the lift in the back of the truck that will lift the wheelchair and stow it. And this one's even better because it's actually got a little camper lid over the top for, places that have rain and snow and sleet and hail and winter conditions, so that when they get to their destination, the chair isn't completely soaked. So those are all things to consider as well. Community. Thanks to the ADA, our community in the United States is fairly accessible, theoretically. Okay, so anything from these crosswalks to signage. This is a really cool sensory trail that the trail actually has little ropes that you can follow and signs with Braille, as well as, places where you can actually touch the trees and it's a very experiential type thing. There's one actually, not this one, but there's one down the street from my house, which is really cool. Rollator walker. Tell me, does everyone need a rollator walker? Probably not, but you've probably put countless rollator walkers into people's life care plans. This is a nice little portable threshold ramp, and it's really lightweight. It's got the little handle right there, so you can just pick it up, put it where you need it, and hopefully it fits the step. And then as far as a simple assistive device for this guy, who is one of the Olympic swimmers, he's got a towel that's how he starts his races, as he's holding the towel in with his teeth, because obviously he can't start the race as people usually do. So an assistive device can be very simple and also be very, very, very effective for the person. High tech, we've got this standing power wheelchair. You've also seen the eyesight ones where the chair itself just raises up. It just allows people who use wheelchairs to kind of converse with people at a more eye level, or reach things in those cabinets if they don't happen to come down. I love this picture. This is a woman with her baby, and she's just totally chilling out in her wheelchair with it reclined back a little bit. And again, wheelchairs are devices that enable people to do what they need to do. And so I don't want anybody to ever think that they're wheelchair bound or wheelchair limited in some way because they use a wheelchair. And then of course, these are the automatic doors that are in a lot of stores, make things very easy for people. I did have a client one time who in her wheelchair, she was too short to activate the automatic door, and she'd go right up to it and kind of bounce off of it until, until she could get it to open. And then got some random things to kind of wrap up.
Yeah, this is just a list of miscellaneous options out there. So bookshare.org is an online website. It's about $50 a year, and it offers all sorts of adaptations for reading. And then I just we put in there, prism glasses can also be used for double vision. Those tend to be pretty expensive and by prescription. And they, as an example of a magnifier to help with reading, is the Eschenbach Smart Look. So like Kirsten said, you can get a very simple magnifying glass all the way up to a $750 handheld device that helps with reading. And then we just included there is a VA allotment for adaptive clothing allowance, and I just put that in there.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about clothing, but for wheelchair users in particular, wearing clothing that has rivets or any sort of thick seams can sometimes be a problem with skin breakdown if they don't have sensation. And so there are quite a few places that sell adaptive clothing. And then also, things that fit easily, kind of like what I've got on right now, but it would look like a real shirt. They've got, lots of things that have alternative, like
Magnets.
Fasteners and everything else. So
Magnets,
magnet closures for buttons and that sort of thing. So that's another presentation for a later time. But okay, so I think this is. We've talked about low tech and we've talked about high tech. If you Google either of those terms, you're going to hear medium tech. We sort of skipped over that because that's in the middle. But low tech and high tech, these are the list of questions you want to ask yourself when you are speaking to doctors or providing foundation for a life care plan. And that is, what is the problem that you're trying to solve with this person? What is the actual problem that they're having, and how can you adapt something so that they can do it better? And who are they? How old are they? Learning gets harder, unfortunately, as you age. And if they're set in their ways and those habit maps are completely solidified, then they're going to have trouble learning a new technique. And also with some of these applications and computer technology, people are getting better at accepting that, but depending on, some people just aren't that comfortable with technology when it comes down to it. Several of our presenters have mentioned compliance. Will they follow up? Will they do what they're supposed to? Will they maintain the habit once you teach it to them? How you can justify it. We're looking at fall prevention, making people safer. You wouldn't provide anyone with those kitchen, like the pot holder or anything like that, if they're going to leave the burner on, if they're going to walk off and leave it and not come back to it. So, you just have to consider who the client is and what's going to really help them. And observation is a really strong tool. When you meet your evaluees, you're going to have a sense of what it is that they're going to be safe doing or not doing. And you really have to trust your gut on that. So lots of research.
Yeah, this is a bit of research to support some of that fall prevention. We were just talking about, there's a program out of Johns Hopkins called the Capable program. It's got a very long name, but the Capable program is a grant-based program of small teams of a nurse, an OT, and a contractor. And they go out to people's homes and they make very simple recommendations that are then installed by the contractor, and they've done a lot of research to support the effectiveness of those simple modifications on fall reductions and also reduced hospitalization. So their website's really full. That's the website, the second point there. It's got a ton of research on there to help support some of these very small adaptations. And then just to talk about a little bit, in terms of being culturally sensitive, our goal it's a very Western thought that independence is the utmost thing that people want to have in their life. But that's not necessarily in agreement with all cultures. So you have to be sensitive to what a different culture might think of when they think of aging. You know, do they want all of those devices to make them independent? And then the cultural background and also their goals. Yeah.
Okay, ethical considerations. What should be added to the life care plan? That is part of our skill as life care planners, is to consider and weigh what is appropriate to add and leave out, you know, and that goes into when you meet the person, you kind of get the sense of what it is that they need or what they're willing to accept, and culturally, like you were saying, what kind of help they have available. And it should be a very collaborative process to really determine what that person can benefit from and not put it in just because of the dollar amount. So the cost, is it justified? Is it something you can defend? Is it realistic for the person? Is there a less expensive alternative that can meet their needs? And does it align with what they want and how they intend to live their lives? This is from the journal issue a couple years ago.
The Boniface
4 years ago.
article
God, I'm not any older.
in 2019 at the journal article that talks about what you need to know about the professional discipline of that journal article. At the end of that, there was a series of tables that outlined what each discipline can opine upon. So we pulled out the portion of it that talked about the assisted devices, and it's just by discipline. So you can see that every discipline who writes a life care plan is able to opine upon assisted devices, but obviously some require some collaboration, some require more, I believe there's some research also listed in there.
Okay.
But essentially it enables everybody to think in this way and to think about what might be included that might be appropriate. But that being said, given the previous slide that it's OTs and PTs, it's sort of our within our wheelhouse, and we're comfortable with it. And if it's something that requires some collaboration, if you're from a different discipline, that what's important to know essentially is what we presented on, what the options are out there, so that when you are trying to get medical foundation or you are talking to a different therapist about it, if you happen to be in contact with the treating therapist, you can say, what do you think about this device? Do you think that would be helpful for them? So just being aware of what's out there is important.
Wow, that's it. We did good. That was one of my hot mic moments. I'm notorious for having hot mic moments, so forgive me. Does anybody have any questions? We've got a list of resources at the end of the slide and publications. And hey, there's the fancy code. So Ron, I was thinking about your question about the railings, and for a home like that, it's where it's a residence, their railing is not required because it's a private residence, not a public space.
So if you do have a very narrow stairwell, my parents have one, and it's like 12 steps, and it is just such a slant. Acorn devices or Acorn stair lifts is the one that will go into a house and put in a rail and a chair that will work in that very narrow space. And it's really interesting how they do it. You know, you could, like, if you're at the top of the stairwell, you sit in the chair and the chair turns and then it goes down. So if you haven't seen that,
yeah, and
they're about $4,000.
Yeah, okay, and sometimes the chairs flip up so that you can go. But the thing to remember about the stair glides in general is that the track attaches to the step, So it is permanently attached. And so if you want to remove it at any point, somebody's going to have to go in and repair it, particularly if it's a nice hardwood or something like that. It's going to be damaging. If you cover it with carpet after you take it out, it's probably not a big deal, but that is something to consider. People are like, oh, I'd love to have a stair glide, but then they're like, oh my God, I just spent a gazillion dollars on Brazilian hardwood, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, it permanently attaches to the step and then it goes up. So, and to the wall in some cases. So for the minimum usually requirement for a stair glide to be installed is a stair tread width of 36 inches.